And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. For years, there's been an unspoken divide in the gay community across the country. According to insiders, that divide goes along lines of race sometimes. While many white LGBTQ members support the traditional Pride celebration, blacks were involved in their own celebration in the Houston area called Splash. While many black transgenders have found themselves murdered in Texas, the other side has been silent. But there have been inroads. And joining us to talk about this is former city councilman and former HISD trustee Jolanda Jones, Lo Roberts with Houston Pride, and Austin Davis Ruiz with the Montrose Center. And Lo, we've heard you've been very responsible, well, partly responsible for bringing the groups together and making a change here in the Houston area. Tell us, first of all, the issues that were in front of you guys at first.
Well, at first, when I joined Pride about 10 years ago, I didn't see people that looked like me, whether that was on the board or people that were on the front lines of actually participating in the organization. And I'm the type of person where if I don't see someone that looks like me, I'm going to insert myself and make room at the table for my people.
Get over, move.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I did. I kind of worked my way from the bottom up, and I became the first black queer woman of color to be president and CEO of Pride Houston.
And you have made several changes, I heard from Jolanda Jones, who's a huge fan of you.
I made quite a few changes. Of course, you can't start a war with being quiet and keeping stagnant. I enlarged my board quite a bit with different people of color. I also added another category within our Grand Marshal events. We had male identified, female identified, ally, and we didn't really have a category that fits our non-binary and non-conforming siblings. So adding that category to the spectrum really helped us a lot last year as well.
And of course, how important is it to the Montrose Center that someone like this comes to the table and brings others to the table and have inclusion?
Well, you know, it's really important, especially because Pride Houston is actually part of our nonprofit incubator at the Montrose Center. So they actually office with us. But kind of on that same point of inclusion, it's really amazing because that also translates to our youth. So with our HATS youth program, it was really interesting. They came to us 3 years ago and they said, you know, we want to be more inclusive, more accepting, more affirming of all of our siblings. And so whereas we used to do prom king and queen at their HATS youth prom, now we have genderqueer monarchs. And I think it's just a really great story and a really kind of great example of exactly how our youth is starting to pick up that baton and really starting to kind of affect that same change that Lo did for Pride Houston.
And of course, Jolanda, you have wanted to see this change as well, because we had a phone conversation. You said, say, for example, a black gay man's issue is not a white gay man's issue.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to come together and start working and helping each other.
You do. They're just different issues. They're socioeconomic issues. You saw that Pete Buttigieg, when he was running, didn't have all the support of black gay people because there are different issues. But what's been so exciting to me about having Lo on the board is she's just a fighter. I mean, she didn't tell you this, but her grandfather fought in Fourth Ward in the civil rights struggle there. So Lo's the kind of person, she gets involved in something, and she was, you know, a part of the civil rights movement. And so she, to a certain extent, has done that in the LGBTQIA community. And she came to a meeting not too long ago to a predominantly white crowd, and she shared some insight, and she was to the point, and some people don't want that because some people don't want change. And I've got to tell you, she's been courageous, because when she first took over, they wouldn't give her the books, even though she won. Like, she had to sue to get to the books. So even though Pride looks like Houston now you see very many more people of color participating in Pride. We used to have our own Pride in this area called Splash, and we'd go down to Galveston because we weren't included. And so Lo has just like knocked it, and she's just taking it to another level.
We'll continue this conversation when we come back. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We're talking about the racial divide and some of the issues they're tackling in the gay community in Houston and around the country. What are some of the struggles that are still out there, Austin, that needs to be addressed?
Well, the first thing I can think of is HIV/AIDS funding, honestly, because there's so many Black and Latinx queer members of our community that still don't have access to health care. They don't know where they can get resources to prevent getting HIV. They don't even know, what exactly is available to them. And so that's really the biggest thing. How can we make sure that those communities that need those resources most get that access, and really to be able to end the epidemic here in Houston.
And Jolanda, you mentioned transgender issues as well.
The murder of black trans women, I think, is a public health crisis. It is based on hate and racism, and we need to stand in the gap for them, because when there's injustice against one of us, there's injustice against all of us. And black trans women are people too, and they deserve our support, and I'm definitely an ally.
Do you think law enforcement is giving it the attention it deserves, and are people rallying around the cause as they should, because people are dying?
I think that people have to be educated. I think that the more people become educated, the more that people will support us. But I mean, I would invite everyone to come to Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is an event that they have where we literally read out the names of trans women who have been killed across the world and in our area.
All right, Lo, and what are the other issues out there that you would like to see addressed?
The lack of education when it comes to the community as a whole. From somebody who comes from a marginalized community within a marginalized community within another marginalized community, it hurts that I am continuously having to teach and educate people about the community, the LGBTQIA+ community, or even what certain things that should be common sense to these individuals.
You'll have to agree there are a lot of names and a lot of categories and
But common decency is easy for anyone to understand.
We're all
Just common decency. Everyone is human. Just the simple ask of somebody to say, what are your pronouns? That, to me, can speak mountain. It can move mountains by just having a little bit of common decency when it comes to people within the spectrum.
And of course, you're going to include that with the parade, right?
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about that and the different categories.
So with the parade,
when is the parade?
The parade is June 27th.
Okay.
And we'll be downtown again this year at nighttime, start kicking off at 8:15. Within the parade, we have different Grand Marshal categories: female identified, male identified, ally, as well as non-binary. And within those categories, you can vote. It is a community vote. It's not something that Pride Houston does, because we do speak for the community. And you can go to pridehouston.org to select those individuals. You'll see bios of each one, as well as what each category stands for.
And really quick, for those who need resources and information, where can they go at the Montrose Center?
Yeah, the Montrose Center. We have everything from counseling services to mental health services to HIV/AIDS. We have youth groups. We have groups for transgender individuals of the community. Pretty much anything you need, one-stop shop, Montrose Center.
All right, thank you all for joining us. Your idea, Jolanda.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that you're talking about this idea. We are thankful.
All righty, if you